6 episodes of Obi-Wan just sitting in his hut.
No, it's probably 6 episodes of Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan, but that was toxic.
It was toxic. There not enough representation in the show about this old white man.
Honestly, what is wrong with representation? I have not heard a good argument against what is wrong with representation. You can argue, hey, a character's not written well. Cool, a character's not written well. But when you argue against representation, guess what? That's actually a racist argument. So shut the fuck up.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. Going at a request here for episode 5 of this Obi-Wan Kenobi saga. I find it really interesting how everybody's going into this so hyperbolic, like, against Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, get a grip, guys. For a reference to the timeline, I'm recording this on June 8th. So I have seen episode 4. Episode 4 I actually thought was the best episode of the series so far. I've been largely kind of enjoying it so far. But episode 4, I thought was really fantastic. We saw Obi-Wan hit the low point in episode 3, and now he's like back, and I'm digging the crap out of it. It was so awesome. We'll have to see if the narrative changes at all after episode 4, because that was awesome. But I am going to be doing a request. This is a request actually done a while ago. I still have the screenshot here. Robert Hamilton, yeah. Hey, Organized Chaos, I'm a fan of your videos. Can you please talk about Clownfish TV? I haven't heard good things about them. I'm sorry I'm getting to this so late. I actually have a video record on Clownfish TV that I haven't released. Lots of times I'll record these videos, and during recording I won't be thrilled with them. So they'll kind of sit in the queue. And I think I have like 3 videos in my queue right now that I don't have a specific plan to release, and that's one of them. That being said, almost always when I return to a video in a queue that I'm not sure about, when I go to it in post, actually I think it turns out alright. It's usually not one of my favorites, but it turns out alright. That being said, I'm not going to return to that video right now. Perhaps I was thinking about maybe putting together those videos and releasing them to patrons. Not there yet. But perhaps we can go ahead and watch Clownfish's Obi-Wan video, which he just released. Let's see. What is that title? Obi-Wan writer defends breaking canon as media turns on Lucasfilm. Obi-Wan writer canon Schmanin, sure. 58% audience average score. We already brought up how they're nuking the scores, and they can't even bring down that low. It's getting ridiculous, the hate train. I find it really obnoxious. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out this video. If this is like the other Clownfish video I watched, which it almost certainly will be, I want to apologize. We'll get to it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello, I'm back.
She's back. She went on sabbatical.
Yeah, I did. This is for a day.
She's no longer canon.
I'm no longer canon. Well, I'm no longer canon for real.
Yeah, I know you got decanonized. This is actually true. There actually is was an expanded universe character based on Geeky, and they
named after me.
Yeah, and they got
snapped.
She got snapped.
Yeah, you may not be able to see her. They have animations for them. The drawings are fine. Let me go ahead and move myself out of the way so you can see both their animations here. They're just bouncing around.
But anyway, that's funny you worded it that way.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this. So the writer of Obi-Wan, or one of the writers of Obi-Wan, says that they did not break canon. I have to give a hat tip to Mr. Milo for this. I wasn't really aware of it. I heard some chatter.
I'm not 100% sure where they've broken canon either. I've heard some accusations, but it's everything I've seen be accused at it doing this video series not canon breaking. And as I've said, there's going to be little retcons here and there. That's always what happens when you drop something in the middle of an already established timeline.
We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about the media turning on Obi-Wan. The honeymoon is over. As of episode 4, we've got headlines like Obi-Wan Kenobi still struggling to justify its existence. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4 has me wondering WTF we're even doing here.
Well, it's interesting because when people
Okay, Esquire. So this is a Forbes article and an Esquire
complained
article.
about the show initially, which actually most of the complaints weren't even about Reva, even though Disney tried to spin it that way.
Yep.
A lot of the complaints I heard and still hear are about Reva.
People are like, well, it's only 2 episodes in. You can't judge it. It's too soon. Well, now it's 4 episodes in. And now even the media is moving past the whole, oh, you can't say anything because you're racist. And now they're basically calling.
Okay. I'm getting sick of people saying you can't criticize Obi-Wan because they'll just call you racist. So, and they're always saying, hey, you know, if the racists are calling them out, name names. So I'm going to go ahead and challenge them. Name names. Tell me somebody who's giving legit critiques of Obi-Wan Kenobi without using gender or race or anything like that. Just legit critiques of story structure, plot, acting. Legit critiques of Obi-Wan Kenobi that is getting called a racist. Where are these people who are just have their normal standard critiques of Obi-Wan Kenobi and they're just getting blasted? I want to see this.
It out. And then you have the writer admitting they kind of just did whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, so
to a degree, that's the writer's job. They're going to have this certain piece of the story, and they have to fill in the gaps of that story. What to do with those gaps is up to them. So yeah, they're going to do what they want. Well, not necessarily 100% what they want, but what they think will be the best story.
they knew this was going to be a disaster, and this is exactly what we said it was going to be. They were preemptively finding reasons to dunk on fans.
Just as we have foreseen.
Just as we...
I see they're fully signed up for the narrative. Listen, they didn't dunk on fans. They dunked on people being assholes to Moses Ingram, who did get racist DMs, who did get racist messages on Instagram and social media. And they told people not to be assholes and not to be racist. That's all they did.
We have foreseen to defend this show, which I'll be honest, I'm not even angry about it. It's boring as hell. The episodes I watched, I thought were boring. Even the spoiler, the Vader Obi-Wan throwdown barely was. It was actually very poorly shot. It looked like a fan film, a bad fan film.
Yeah, the throwdown. Yeah, everybody's making a big deal of the throwdown. What that throwdown was Obi-Wan not wanting to fight Anakin because he still feels very guilty about what happened to Anakin because he put Anakin in that suit and he feels very guilty. And Anakin wanting fucking revenge, wanting he doesn't even want to kill Obi-Wan. He wants Obi-Wan in pain.
And that's what they're talking about with, the writer taking some liberties. I have not seen episode 4 yet. I basically skimmed through episode 3. I've seen a clip of episode 4 where she's deflecting all of the beams off a ship, which, that's okay. They've done it with other Jedi before. Yeah. And then she throws an object at it and blows it up, apparently. I've only seen that part.
I don't care. I
haven't had time to sit and watch it, and if I do, I was probably going to skim through it anyway.
And this was the one Disney Star Wars show I actually was looking forward to because I like Ewan McGregor. I like the prequels. I thought, well, they can't screw this one up, can they? I'm like, oh,
Disney,
no.
Of course they can.
They can't. I mean, they can't screw up Boba Fett, right? I mean, The Mandalorian was just supposed to be an appetizer for Boba Fett, and it was boring. Like the only episode, other than the first episode, the only episode of Boba Fett I sat through was the episode that was basically another episode of The Mandalorian, and bits and pieces of the one with deepfake Luke, and that's it. That's.
You can have your critiques of Boba Fett. I definitely do. It's a lot of build up to a cool final episode. I'm not overly thrilled with Boba Fett overall. Mandalorian, I think, is really awesome. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think, is much better than Boba Fett.
That's all I cared to see. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please.
I like they're going to talk about, and I'm sure they're going to talk about how bad it is, despite the fact they just pretty much admit they really haven't watched it.
Subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 269, almost 270,000 subs. Thank you for the
Please
support.
make sure you're still subscribed.
Yeah, make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people. I don't know why they do that. Yeah.
They unsubscribe bots and stuff like that. It happens to everybody.
I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deal is with YouTube. Who knows how YouTube works? Nobody
Oh, no, YouTube's weird.
knows how YouTube works. I don't even think YouTube knows how YouTube
Yeah,
works
and when
anymore.
they do something to you, it's all nebulous.
It's all nebulous. It's all secret.
Well, that is true. I will give them credit on that. YouTube is funky.
Anyway, yeah, so complaints that the writer of Obi-Wan, is coming out and saying, hey, we didn't break canon. And just to remind you, this is Lucasfilm's defense. And I can't even get angry about it anymore because all of this is fan fiction. Mm-hmm. It's all fan fiction. It's just paid fan fiction. We had Matt Martin coming out a couple of years ago and saying that, hey, all Star Wars is fake anyway, so...
Believe what you want.
Believe what you want. The canon doesn't
I don't know
matter.
what to tell you. Yeah, kind of thing.
Canon doesn't matter. That is the rallying cry. It doesn't matter. Now, canon has always been kind of sacred to pop culture fans because it's the glue that holds the whole damn thing together. Mm-hmm. If you don't have continuity in your stories and your characters and their behavior and all that, nothing means anything. There are no stakes, and we already know there are no stakes anyway because now we've got the multiverse out in so many franchises now. Like, well, yeah, that was just an alternate universe. It doesn't really matter. We'll just start
over. It's basically their excuse to change everything the way they want it.
Yeah, and I really...
Well, I mean, they could always do that. That being said, is there a multiverse in Star Wars? If there is, I don't really know.
I really think that a lot of this started with, like, Marvel Comics.
And it is worth saying, yeah, it is all fake. They're just pointing it out because lots of fans take this entirely too seriously. They do.
Bringing in writers that weren't actually familiar with the characters they were writing, and so they're like, well, you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna start over. Mm-hmm. We're gonna just pretend, pretend the Iceman's gay now.
Basically, we're just gonna self-insert.
And we're gonna self-insert. We're gonna insert.
Well, that's a Marvel reference. Are we going to talk about Star Wars? Are we going to talk about Obi-Wan?
Insert it into ourselves repeatedly. And
I knew you were going to do that.
Anyway, so yeah.
So easy. You're just too easy. All too easy.
All too easy. Let's talk about this first. So going out to piratesandprincesses.net, Mr. Milo's article here. Again, this is the biggest complaint I had was that there was no indication that Obi-Wan and Vader fought before A New Hope at all.
Was there any indication that they didn't? Listen, man, having one or two fights in 20 years? Okay. Like, in A New Hope, I think one thing that you could also take away from that is also that Obi-Wan doesn't seem shocked when he sees Vader in the suit. He's just like, hey, Vader. So it's, we don't get him first seeing that until the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. So that's something that's been technically added to the canon, but I think it helps with A New Hope. So there.
And apparently everybody seems to know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker.
Except for Obi-Wan.
And all of that. And there was no indication that Obi-Wan spent any time with little Princess Leia because she didn't seem to know who the hell it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she hung out with him for a bit when she was 10. And then when she's 20, she doesn't really know him. That doesn't seem like a huge stretch.
Well, it's basically called, we have the franchise, we want to make money. So milk it some more.
They keep on saying this, and yes, Disney wants to milk the franchise. But they don't want to kill the IP. They still want to have value so they can keep on milking it. In order to milk it longer, you can't just run it into the ground. You have to actually try to do some quality stuff with it. So their goal will be to try to hire people who will do a good job with it.
Yeah. So of course, the line in A New Hope, which kind of cinched it, was when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. That seems to imply that He was still his Padawan.
Okay.
And he left him charred, and he hasn't seen him in 20 years. It's not actually what happens, though, according to the new canon, which you have to accept.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to accept it. You can accept whatever canon you want. It's up to you. I kind of assume Obi-Wan and Vader will have another confrontation at some point in this series where Obi-Wan will win. If you actually bothered to watch episode 4, that was essentially Obi-Wan gets his groove back.
Or you're a horrible person.
Or you're a horrible person. You're racist. If you look at this plot hole, this massive plot hole, you're racist. Now, we were talking about before we started recording the video. To be fair, George Lucas has actually retconned his own his Padawan. He left him charred, and he hasn't seen him in 20 years. It's not actually what happens, though, according to the new canon, which you have to accept.
Or you're a horrible person.
Or you're a horrible person. You're racist. If you look at...
Why would that make you racist? You're just creating straw men to tear down at this point.
At this plot hole, this massive plot hole, you're racist. Now,
A plot hole? Explain the plot hole. Explain how this destroys the entire story. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look up plot hole, because everybody always misuses that term. To my understanding, it is something within the logic of a story that destroys that story. Alright, in fiction, a plot hole or plot error is a gap or inconsistency in a story that goes against the flow of logical established by the story's plot. Plot holes are usually created unintentionally, often as a result of editing, or the writer simply forgetting that a new event would contradict previous events. However, the term is also frequently applied incorrectly. For example, a character intentionally written to take irrational action would not constitute a plot hole, nor would loose ends or unexplained aspects of the story. So yeah, they're talking about unexplained aspects of the story, so it's not plot hole. But,
we were talking about before we started recording the video. To be fair, George Lucas has actually retconned his own story several times.
That's true. I mean, we've seen it, like, they bring it up, the writer brings it up with, Vader being his father and Obi-Wan saying from a certain point of view and all that. And that's fair. That is a fair statement. And you said that they did it with the
Clone Wars. Yeah, Clone Wars. That was one of the first things I noticed. I think it was a Clone Wars movie. They fought Grievous. Again, Anakin fought Grievous in Clone Wars, and it was like, wait a second. Revenge of the Sith, it seemed heavily implied that was the first time that they'd fought since he lost his arm. So why is he fighting Grievous all the time? You know what I'm saying? So it takes that big moment, like, oh my God, this is the rematch. So at this point, it's not the rematch, it's yet another rematch.
Well, it's funny to me because what are they going to do because now you're pointing out that other media outlets are calling it out as well. After I got to episode 4, it's really must have jumped the shark because people are like calling it out all over the place. I'm like, so you're not racist to call it out now? I mean, it was fun.
You were never racist to call it out. You are racist when you attack somebody for their race. That's what racism is. It's just these guys talking about, oh, you're criticizing it as racist. No, it's not. You're allowed to criticize it, guys.
Funny to me because when the people were arguing about the racism thing, one of their arguments was, these people don't even know that Darth Vader was voiced by a black person. And it's like,
No, I've not heard that one. Yes, I know Darth Vader is voiced by a black person, but I didn't hear anybody say anything about that.
Oh, the point is, everybody knows that. They had no problem with other characters that weren't white up until they made characters that were terribly unlikable, terrible characters. It had nothing to do with the actors even. The Kelly Marie Tran incident, they always bring up. People don't like Rose Tico. For the majority of people, 99.9% of people had zero problem with Kelly Marie Tran as far as her being Asian. They just hated Rose Tico.
All right, but why are you guys running defense? Well, I guess I don't know if these guys personally ran defense, but these guys ilk ran defense for the racists that attacked Rose Tico, Kelly Marie Tran. Don't run defense for them. You can critique the character while also saying, hey, what these guys do is bad. but don't run defense for them. When you run defense for them, you might as well just be saying this shit as well.
And they're trying to be like, they're so stupid, they don't even know. Someone needs to tell them. It's like, that's not the problem here. They know that.
Yeah, look, the argument is not the actual argument. Here's what we did a video about this. This is what I think is happening. It's all about getting the initial view count up on the show. So it was about creating a controversy around Obi-Wan because they knew the show was dog shit. Create a controversy around it so it's critic proof. And at this point, I don't think they're going to...
But it's not critic proof. You're allowed to critique it. You already brought up websites are critiquing it. So it's like, okay, so we're going to go ahead and say you can't critique it. And now websites are critiquing it. You're like, oh, well, now you can, before you couldn't. Just shut the fuck up.
Offend it that much because they're already moving on to Ms. Marvel. That's right. The new thing.
Which they're getting Ms. Marvel and Obi-Wan in June. Guess when the end of the quarter is? End of June.
Yes.
And that's when they're getting everybody to subscribe. So they had May and June numbers up. But anyway, here's what the writer said about changing continuity. And it's interesting. Now remember, this was not the original writer. The original treatment was done. The writer had done it. Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and said she was scrapping the whole thing and having them do it again. So this person, their version of writing this was not the original version we were supposed to get. We don't know what that was, but we know that the person...
Okay, so we are looking at an interview for the writer for the script that the show is not using. I just want to make sure that we're getting all our information and basing our entire judgment for this show on an interview by somebody who didn't write the show, but was supposed to write the show, but didn't. Cool.
And was fired.
6 episodes of Obi-Wan just sitting in his hut.
No, it's probably 6 episodes of Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan, but that was toxic.
It was toxic. There not enough representation in the show about this old white man.
Honestly, what is wrong with representation? I have not heard a good argument against what is wrong with representation. You can argue, hey, a character's not written well. Cool, a character's not written well. But when you argue against representation, guess what? That's actually a racist argument. So shut the fuck up.
We need to make it about somebody else. These people... Anyway.
Yeah, so essentially his argument is quickly becoming, hey, you know what? They call us racist just because we have valid critiques. So here, let me go ahead and give you my racist thought. No representation, yeah.
It'd be good to show it if it's a woman.
Anyway, so it was the opposite. There was no line in A New Hope that said we couldn't. It seemed like that was the case to me. One could argue that Obi-Wan's from a certain point of view thing is obviously revisionist storytelling in regards to the original trilogy, but it wasn't Obi-Wan that said it. It was Vader.
He said from a certain...
No, that was absolutely Obi-Wan that said it.
Certain point of view was Obi-Wan.
Well, no, about the being the was the learner and now I'm the master.
That's true.
Yeah.
But basically the implication is because they did it in the original trilogy, I can do it now.
Yeah.
And one could argue that. No, the only person arguing that is this person.
There's another way of saying they were great.
This person who didn't even work on this script.
Gray areas and things we don't know. Yes, because you're making up fan fiction. All of Disney Star Wars, to me,
since George Lucas got rid of it.
Since George Lucas got rid of it, with the exception of, I'll give you Rogue One.
Actually, Rogue One was really good.
I'll give you The Mandalorian. You know, I like The Mandalorian.
They're making that whole cloth as a whole other character.
Yeah, so...
But they respect the original.
Right. But the sequels, all the tie-in comics, to me, it's just a bunch of freaking fan fiction.
Well, because...
Is fan fiction necessarily bad? I mean, here's the deal. I already said, and I'll stand by, you can consider canon whatever you want. I don't care what you consider canon. Whatever, dude. Disney will have their canon. You can have your own head canon. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to be canon, that can be canon. But why are you calling it... Well, if there's a really good... There's actually... I'm certain there's plenty of really good pieces of fan fiction out there. Sure, you get some slash fan fictions. But you can have good fan fiction as well. I'm sure there's plenty of good fan fiction. Nothing wrong with that. But, he's just going to throw it all down the gutter. It all sucks. Guess what? You can make the argument that all of Star Wars is fan fiction now, except for the Disney Star Wars stuff. So if you just want to, like, flush all stuff, call it all bad for being fan fiction, well, the fan fiction is a lot of the novels now. Are you going to flush that down totally? I imagine you don't.
At least with those, they tried to, at least with like Rogue One, they tried to like make it fit. They even tried to make the haircuts and the style of everything fit in.
Yeah.
And they went to all this trouble. And you could tell they went to trouble to make it fit. Now they're just like not caring at all. Just like, we'll just make our own shit up and just tell them, oh, from a certain point of view, ha ha ha, morons. You can't critique me.
Yeah.
How dare you?
There's nothing wrong with uncovering the past and its truths and
You
storytelling.
can't uncover something that's truth when you're making it up.
It never felt wrong to me.
To you.
There's nothing that I feel like we violated at all.
Obviously.
If anything, we've informed those scenes so that some of the choices we've taken for granted in the original trilogy, like canon, we've taken canon for granted, actually make more sense now. No, they make significantly less sense.
Right. We went and told you what to think. You need to think what we say, racist.
If you came to the entire Star Wars storytelling world fresh and watched it all the way through from episode 1, this would feel like a natural link between those two trilogies. No.
It would not. Why? Is this person saying they came into it fresh?
The season hasn't finished, so how do we know? And I don't know if there's going to be multiple seasons of this. We'll have to see. I kind of hope it's a one-shot. I don't know. After episode 4, I'm kind of cooled down with maybe 1 or 2 more seasons, but don't push it. Don't push it at all. But we don't know how well it syncs together until we get to the end.
Fresh and didn't watch it, so they just made shit up.
That actually, yeah.
That's what all writing is. It's just making shit up.
That is how it feels. That is how Disney Star Wars feels, and that's almost like, you know, I was saying before, it feels the reason that they did that with the expanded universe is there's so much of it that they're just like, just burn it down. We'll start over because it's too much work to, keep track of it. Now, the weird thing is for the longest time, Pablo Hidalgo was supposed to be the guy who you went to ask questions about what was canon, what isn't canon. And he supposedly signed off on this. And
they got us from a couple things he agreed to and stuff like that.
So I have to wonder if he's not doing this just to troll the Star Wars fans. Like, fuck you guys.
Do I think Lucasfilm's doing it in general, troll Star Wars fans?
Yeah.
Yes. Disney wants to make money. There's ways they can make money and still make shows that fit into the canon and felt like they belonged. But they're just doing it now to be like, fuck you. Because they've been saying that to the fans since The Last Jedi. And their stuff has gone down the shitter since The Last Jedi, except for The Mandalorian, which was Filoni and Favreau and Bad Batch and things that were Filoni. They've done okay. It's just funny to me.
It's wild. I mean, they're like, oh, we're so glad we could keep the secret about Leia. Because why would anybody expect little Leia to show up?
It wasn't a secret. Everybody's known about it since they cast her. It's a non-secret. What's secret?
But the general public would be like, well, Obi-Wan never met Leia. That's why she sent the message.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. They're going to be like, well, she called him Ben. So she didn't realize it's the same person when she sent the message.
So when Luke is so heartbroken for 30 seconds, when Ben gets killed in the first movie, Leia never makes a connection like, oh, Ben Kenobi. Oh, that's
she makes enough.
Now, they were talking about this guy, Joby Harold, as if he was the guy who wrote the original script and was canned. Now, according to IMDb, he wrote a lot of this, the current Obi-Wan series. I don't know if their information's off or what, but they wrote a lot of it. Oh, and Leia knowing Ben 10 years ago, when she was 10. How many close friends do you have from when you were 10 that you met once? How many?
Connection to name her kid after.
Yeah, because this is a retcon. This is like, why would people brought that up? Why would Leia and Han name their kid Ben when Han didn't give a shit about Kenobi, thought he was an old kook, and Leia never met him? Why would they name their kid Ben? It totally made sense for Luke to name, his kid Ben. Right?
Thank God he didn't name his kid Yoda.
Little Yoda.
Because Yoda would make more sense because he spent more time with Yoda.
It's not Yoda. The girl. It'd be Yoda. It's not Yoda.
It's Yoda.
Yoda.
Yoda. Yoda. Not Yoda.
So, yeah. So this is a retcon to try to make the sequels make sense. Literally,
though, we're 4 episodes in and it's all about Leia.
It's all about Leia.
It's not all about Leia. It's about Obi-Wan. Why do people... Is the series not allowed to have supporting characters or villains? Is Obi-Wan the only character allowed to have any sort of story? Is he the only one allowed to have any sort of screen time? Jesus Christ, man.
They knew that people were not going to like this.
Yeah, and the general public's probably like, oh yeah, well, Leia's not going to be in it because why would she be?
Right, but the thing is, people wanted Obi-Wan, and if it's supposed to be the time when he's on Tatooine watching over Luke, they expected, like you said, the comic where maybe Luke got lost and Obi-Wan went out to get him, and there's a whole thing about...
Yeah, no, I actually kind of appreciate that it's about Leia. I like the difference. I think the young actress is doing a good job. She's really... I believe she's Leia.
But they wanted to put Vader in it for whatever reason, and then they wanted to put Leia in it for whatever reason.
Shoehorn all these original trilogy characters in. Because I was thinking to myself, well, this could be good because again, there were comic stories where he was watching over, little Luke, and I thought they were for a minute until Leia showed up. I thought maybe they were going in that direction, and if they'd cut the Leia stuff out, stayed on Tatooine, and had him, handling Luke, because Luke obviously knew him, and there's a history with Owen, obviously. And that could have been an adventure. But yeah, they had a comic where he was like saved Luke and Wendy, and then they had, like Tashi Station and all that.
Even put Leia.
Oh my God, this is a hell to sit through. God, there's 8 minutes left. We'll see what we can do. They've barely said anything. They aren't really saying much. Largely because they haven't even really watched the series. They went into the series obviously planning to hate it, and they haven't even watched all of it. And they're critiquing it. They're talking about this story, and then they're just critiquing what the writer did without even fucking watching the series. So, what the fuck good is your input?
In a way that Luke saw her but didn't know that her name or didn't know who she was. Like, they could even have like a 1-episode thing where they did Leia. But literally the whole damn show is the Leia and Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Yeah, because she's kidnapped and he's trying to help save her. Oh my God.
Whole fucking show.
It has nothing to do against, because they're like, and of course, if you criticize this, you're criticizing the actress. I have nothing against the little girl playing Leia.
Well, that's the first one I've heard. But guess what? You're allowed to criticize the actress as well. I think she does a good job, but also she is a child actress, and she's probably the weakest actress there. Child actors are usually like that. That being said, I think she's doing a pretty good job.
I think the writing's wonky, and I think some of the things they choose.
The writing's wonky? Because you just said you didn't really watch it. What, you watched the first 2, skimmed through the third one, didn't watch the fourth one?
But it's not the actress's fault. I have nothing against her. I think she's cute. I have no problem with her.
She's way younger than 10.
Yeah. When people are going...
She seems about 10.
On about their issues with the show... It has more to do with this kind of stuff we're talking about, and that they're spending all this time on Leia, which doesn't make any sense, than it does that people don't like the actress. But of course, because we can't take actual criticism, we have to take whatever you're saying and find a way to deflect it that you're against some type of person, children, minorities, women, whatever. That's what they're going to try.
Yeah, I swear, do they all get like paperwork on how to talk about the narrative? All the big channels just get this paperwork? Here's the narrative you need to push in your videos. Can you just fucking critique the goddamn show?
To spin it as, because if you don't like that, because if you don't like it, they'll bully you into submission. You have to admit you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
Leia should not be in the show. I mean, she can be in it, I think, for an episode or two, but it should have focused on Obi-Wan and Luke, which made more sense.
Yeah, but it's not bad that Leia's in it. Is it bad that Leia's in it? What's your exact problem with Leia being in it? That she doesn't like... It's that she isn't super familiar with him because she knew him for a little bit when she was 10? Is that your biggest issue with it? Because that's a minor quibble at best.
And they did a bait and switch. I'm sorry, they did. Because even the trailer, they had him watching over little Luke.
They didn't even mention Leia.
Everybody's talking about the bait and switch being Reva being the main character when it's obviously she's the villain, and it's a bullshit bait and switch. If you want to argue that Luke and Leia is a bait and switch, I will give that to you. Because, yeah, the trailer stronger indicates Luke is going to have a bigger role. I don't even think Leia's in the trailers at all, but Leia has a big role in this. It's not one I object to. I actually appreciate little, like, twist in there. And that's the other thing. Like, this complaint about baiting and switching. Do you want them to reveal everything in the trailers? Do you want the trailers to just honestly reveal everything? That's an issue of trailers I have. They reveal everything anymore. I don't want that. But do these people want that?
Mention Leia.
I knew about it because they cast her a long time ago, so we knew way back then when the rumors were out there casting Leia. I've known about it for a long time.
I knew she was going to be in it. I did not think she was going to be the plot. She is the plot point, which makes no fucking sense.
She's the MacGuffin.
She's what?
She is.
Yeah, she's the MacGuffin. Okay, sure. Yeah, she gets kidnapped and Obi-Wan has to save her. It does not seem like a far-fetched storyline at all.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I mean, she's a person. She's the MacGuffin. I mean, a MacGuffin is essentially something that only exists in a movie to essentially drive the plot forward. I don't see how that's Leia. I mean, yeah, her being kidnapped or under threat of kidnapping is the big thing moving the plot forward. But if we're going to call Leia a MacGuffin, then we get a whole bunch of other stuff that becomes MacGuffins as well. No. Like, here's the thing. A MacGuffin has to be something that drives the plot forward and does nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. And, I mean, we have to see, but I'm sure, like, Leia's gonna play a role.
For her to be hanging out with Obi-Wan for any, like, they could have a brief meeting and she wouldn't remember because she was 10 years old and he went by Ben and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, that guy.
But Luke knew Ben.
Yes, because Obi-Wan saved his ass a couple of times on Tatooine. This was in the comics. This was in the expanded universe they burned down.
But they made sure they mentioned it in A New Hope. He knew Ben.
Yes. Yeah, so it would have made complete sense for him to be like, Ben Kenobi, yeah, I remember when you saved my ass from the crate dragon or whatever, and, stuff like that. Like, that would have totally made sense. But, of course, we can't have this show make sense because we can't have it just be Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we can't have the show be exactly what you want it to be. That's what you're complaining. You're complaining the show isn't exactly what you want it to be. It's something different. It's so annoying. All these minor quibbles.
Obi-Wan and Luke, which would have been fine, and I think most...
Do not critique the show you want. Critique the show that exists that you didn't even fucking watch, and you're hate talking it even though you didn't fucking watch it.
People would have been okay with that. But the mainstream media is starting to rip this one apart too. We've got Forbes, Obi-Wan Kenobi struggling to justify its existence 4 episodes in. I thought it was funny. I'm just like, what are people saying about it? And it's starting to not resonate well with people. But Forbes here, it was fine. So far, there's nothing like explicitly bad about Obi-Wan as a series. Maybe a few weird editing decisions. But 4 episodes into a 6-episode run, there's just nothing terribly compelling about it either. That was Boba Fett. It was just, Look, I'll tell you what's compelling. Classic Star Wars characters bringing views to Disney Plus. Normies are going to be like, Obi-Wan, I know that name. Leia, I know that name.
Well, I'm mad because I think they should just do a Leia show. That would be like Leia before we saw her in A New Hope, because apparently she's, a little bit like a rebellious person, obviously. They could totally do a show about Leia before they hit, A New Hope, and they could do that as its own thing. Instead, they shoehorn her as a child into the Obi-Wan show. I think that's actually more of a disservice to Leia.
I mean, could they not do both? I don't think the Leia series is a terrible idea. My issue would be I don't know who you cast. But yeah, Leia being an Obi-Wan makes it so they can't do a Leia series now?
Yeah, and it's a disservice to the fans because you'd expect it to be Luke. I want to know more about Leia, but I want to know more about Leia when she's older. What put her on that ship? Why was she, brought her to the rebellion? I would like to see that. I don't need her shoehorned into Obi-Wan. I want to see how Luke knew Obi-Wan and how they ended up where they were.
Are you sure they won't get to it later?
At the beginning of A New Hope on both characters.
Well, this is about rewriting the narrative, right? So basically, Kathleen Kennedy's legacy is going to be that Star Wars is not about Luke Skywalker. Star Wars is actually about Leia. And we've seen this time and time again.
The Force.
They're not rewriting the original trilogy. You know that, right? And even in the original trilogy, it was established that Luke and Leia are actually equally important. Luke is the main character of the original trilogy. But from the perspective of the universe, Luke and Leia are equals.
It's female shit.
The Force is female shit, and she can deny it, but it's very obvious they've actually run Luke down in several cases.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, how dare Luke have arcs and have down times.
And as a female Star Wars fan who's been a Star Wars fan since as long as I can remember, I have a problem with that because I love Leia because I love Leia as Leia. I love Luke. I love Luke as Luke. I didn't need Leia to slap Luke in the face.
Yeah.
They both have their strengths.
When did that happen? I assume you're talking about, like, figuratively slapped in the face. So what? She slapped him in the face by being the one that's in trouble that Obi-Wan has to save? So?
And to me, they were all important. Like, Luke was the main character, obviously, but the other characters were so close to being the main character. They were basically like an ensemble thing, and to me, they were always all equally important. You know what I'm saying? In the story.
It was like Friends with lightsabers.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And to me, it's a disservice to Leia and to Luke to do what they've been doing with the Disney movies. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way, and I think that it's other for that a few exceptions. Disney has, like you said, pushed this Kathleen. I'm assuming. I don't know that. I'm assuming it's her agenda. She's in charge.
Almost guarantee you it is.
But it's not working. And the thing is, they need to. There's no reason why she has to be better. They could do a Leia show. They didn't have to put her in this. I would have much rather seen.
I like how they're talking about how Obi-Wan Kenobi's going down the drains because it got 2 negative reviews.
Leia, as older Leia, when she turned in, joined the rebellion, than I would have as her being an annoying child. And
what's funny is these reviews don't even seem like they're like really negative. They just seem kind of like meh. That's the worst they can dig up.
She's annoying because they wrote her that way.
Esquire.
She seems a lot like Leia would be just a younger version of the Carrie Fisher character from the original trilogy. That's what she seems like.
Has me wondering what the fuck. Esquire. What the fuck are we doing here?
Well, that's because they're misogynist because it's Esquire.
But they're like, it's old man.
Obviously racist too.
Calling it old man Ewan McGregor. It's they're IGN. They're like, what should be a thrilling prison break is instead a bland series of events.
I'm sorry, they found 3 meh reviews.
It's devoid of emotion and character development that has previously made Kenobi such a great watch.
Clearly racist and misogynist.
Yep, mercifully the shortest of the runs.
Oh, wow. So this one isn't even saying the series is bad. This is just saying I'm not thrilled with episode 4 because he likes the other ones.
So far, episode 4 is the season's first misstep.
Oh, it's been misstep before, but now I gotta see what the people are complaining about episode 4.
Oh, here we go. Star Wars is no stranger to remixing its own past. Oh,
well, to be fair though, to be fair, they did retcon stuff in the original trilogy.
They did.
And I would be lying if I said they didn't, and that's documented. We know this. So that's true. But the difference is hindsight is 2020, and Disney should know that there were missteps there. So it would be their job to make new stuff but make it fit within. And they told you their attitude. None of the can doesn't matter. Believe what you want.
Yeah, that's. Look, you've got people in charge.
Said it.
Yeah, in charge of these shows, in charge of these comics, in charge of these franchises that don't give a shit. Meanwhile, you've got something like the Orville that actually feels more like the franchise it's supposed to be parroting, because it's got some of the people that worked on that franchise actually working on the show, right? And there's a genuine love for it, and I just get the feeling that the people that work at Lucasfilm don't like Star Wars all that much. It's just a job for them. It's just or
they like their version of Star Wars. That's
right.
Their version that most people don't like, and then they like to rub it in people's faces.
So, George Lucas doesn't consider Disney Star Wars canon.
You don't consider it.
I don't consider it canon. Just take it or leave it. As far as I'm concerned, we got.
When did George Lucas say he doesn't consider it canon? He sold it to him. He made $4 billion.
6 good movies and a couple good animated series, and the rest of it, you can take it or leave it. And I think if Disney continues to shit out subpar stuff like this, a lot of people are going to be leaving
And it does seem like it's done on the cheap. It really does.
Oh, yeah. Even compared to The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan looks really cheap.
Even when you see the scene with her flinging the whatever, it looks really cheap.
Like on a string or
No, it's not that bad, but it's clearly, it's like CGI, and it's just like, okay. I mean, it's like up there with the prequels on, I think, on how shitty it looked, but that's okay.
All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Oh my god. I feel like you have all these bigger YouTubers that brought up these narrative talking points that they need to talk about this show about, but they never, they feel so confident to just talk about the narrative talking points, they don't even bother to fucking watch it anymore. It's like, dude, if you're gonna critique Obi-Wan, if you're gonna talk about Obi-Wan, you have to go into it. And they talk about being Star Wars fans. And I've decided by myself, because I'm that fucking smart and awesome, what it takes to be a Star Wars fan. Are you ready? You do not have to like every piece of Star Wars. No, you don't. You can dislike most of it, but you have to go into all of it with an open mind. You don't even have to watch it all, but every time you go into it with an open mind. And that's not what these people are doing. These people are going into this pre-hating it. They don't care if it's any good at all. They're just going to hate it. They're going to nitpick it to death. 5 fucking videos I've watched so far talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Barely a hint of an actual fucking critique of the goddamn show. Barely a fucking hint. It's all about the goddamn narrative. And it's a narrative they're pushing. And it is obnoxious.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like